Thanks for joining in Capitalism today. Thank you for supporting this channel, and I hope you'll subscribe and keep up with the videos. These videos are meant to have conversations about the system of capitalism in the global world, not just in the United States, not just in Canada or North America on the whole, but in the world, because capitalism affects all of us. It is saturated in so many parts of the world. The model of paying for everything that you could possibly want or need, you have to pay for it. And that's what capitalism is all about. It's a system that requires you to always have your money out, and it requires the venture capitalists to always be on the agenda of getting profits. So today I want to talk about, social responsibility, kind of just refresh the idea because I have been talking about that a lot. Social responsibility does not fall on the shoulders of businesses and organizations. It also falls on the backs of the consumer and the laborer. We are also responsible for the environment that we live in, and the air that we breathe, and the water that we drink, and the soil that we used for farming. We owe some attention and some consideration to the environment, as well as to the benefit and the well-being of ourselves and our neighbors, and whether they are our neighbors who live right next to us or the global neighbor. So as human beings, we have to get into the idea that we are impacted by the system in the same way people in the global world are impacted. So we have to see our global friends, our global neighbors as family, as those people who also face a system that is unjust, that is not meeting the needs of families. It is not giving them that enrichment so that they can create fulfilling lives. It confines them to a model that says, well, if you work a little harder, you can become rich. But becoming rich is not the solution to the problems of the world. I mean, it has not solved any solutions. After all, it has just given people, a few people, right, who are millionaires and billionaires, extra buying power. So that's what it does. It gives you buying power to buy stuff that you really don't need, or that you really don't need in your garage or in your house, whereas there are other people in the world who are struggling. It is a system of imbalance, and we have to look at it as that. It cannot be a system that only sees or celebrates rich people while blaming working class people for being in the working class status. So I encourage you, when you're looking at capitalism, to not just look at it in a tunnel visional way, but to look at capitalism in a global view, with global lens, with the evidence, not just your perception. Perception is so much more different than reality, as you know, right? So try not to confuse perception with reality, because those are completely two different scenarios, completely two different types of analysis. Be the kind of human being who looks at the world in full view as it is operating, not with the mindset that, oh, it's operating in the way it should. It's not. There can be better days, but better days will come from our actions, our awareness of what is truly happening in this world. So be that kind of human being. I want to talk about a quote by one of my favorite activists. She is from India, and I know you know her name. And I'm not Indian, so I know I'm going to butcher her name a bit, but her name is Arundhati Roy. Arundhati Roy. She is a very prolific activist who have written books, who appears in different videos on YouTube. You could check her out. She's very vocal about wars and capitalism and injustices, not just, in India, but just the global definition of capitalism. So here's the quote. The quote reads this, quote, colorful demonstrations and weekend marches are vital, but alone are not powerful enough to stop wars. Wars will be stopped only when soldiers refuse to fight, when workers refuse to load weapons onto ships and aircraft, when people boycott the economic outposts of empire that are strong across the globe. War is also a global act, and it is many times done with the agenda of capitalism. Somebody wants access to land or water or gold, whatever it may be for technology, the resources for technology. Therefore, they tend to use war instead of peace with their neighbors to get access to those resources. We do have the option of sharing instead of killing. But in capitalism, you tend to see that more people are interested in competition, and they forget that there's the option to just be a good neighbor, to just be a peaceful neighbor who understands that you may not have all the resources for your country, but someone else does. Therefore, you can shake hands with them in a loving way and ask without having to destroy their infrastructure and the lives of the people. So, with capitalism, there's this always never ending civil war. And it's because we have forgotten how to be fair, loving, amicable human beings. The system ignites a very harsh competitive side in us, a monstrous side is what I should say. And it makes people act very indifferent. It makes them put money and profits over friendship and love. So, the anti-capitalists, we're always looking at dynamics. We're always paying attention to how people are communicating with one another when you have money in as the agenda or as the result. And you see a completely different person or people when the end result is money. It's like it's a different side of the human life comes out. And it's a very unfortunate, very many times evil side. So that's why one of the many reasons the anti-capitalist is an anti-capitalist is because of that. We see how monstrous people become, and we do not like that at all. We do not want people to act inhumanely toward one another. So in Roy's quote about how things stop, how the empire stops functioning when we, the consumers and the laborers and the military guys, the bomb makers, we all come together and we all say, this is for the wrong agenda. This is the wrong way to approach people. Therefore, we're going to stop the production phase. And that's when change will happen. The ones at the top will understand that the majority, which is the laborer and the consumer, when we say we want no part of this, we're not funding any wars, we're not allowing the system to thrive anymore, that's how things stop. And they would stop very abruptly. But it requires a global movement, right? It requires a global people with the same mindset, with the same struggle, who understand that we are all under the same umbrella of capitalism. And unless we come together, unless we begin to put our struggles together and we begin to understand how connected we are, then we can make the necessary changes. But it actually just takes us having a heightened awareness of what is truly happening to us and what will happen to our children if we don't come together, if we don't break bread and we don't shake hands. So, I always encourage you to not just think as as the financial struggles that you face as isolated. They are not isolated at all. I face them, my neighbors face them, my coworkers face them. All of us are facing this uncertainty, the financial uncertainty that leads to other problems in our lives. So keep that in mind and keep that awareness of the world, what is happening in the world, so that you can be socially responsible. You can act in ways that are socially acceptable and socially can be defined as you being a social caring person, a social loving person, a social loving human being. I mean, that's what we should all aim for, right? At some point in our lives, we have to look at our environment and we have to see how we can change that for the better. So keep that in mind. Be as socially responsible as you can possibly be. Definitely keep your neighbors in mind. See their struggles. Try not to turn a blind eye to that. And as always, check out the website, dismantlecapitalismglobally.com, dismantlecapitalismglobally.com, and let me know if you want to be a guest on this YouTube channel or write an article about capitalism. I would love to hear from you. Thank you, and I hope to have you again in my audience.